From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
American Door Company has been family owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Not a bad day after Christmas out there today. You know, we've got off and on rain though as we really progress through the rest of the week and even into next week. You know, you think about the pattern that you may have been hearing about over the last 3 weeks is that around Christmas time into the new year, there's going to be a wet weather pattern moving in. Now, some people, not me, but some people were going all in and saying, yeah, not only is it going to be a wet weather pattern, but it's going to be a ton of rain. And we're going to see a ton of snow in the mountains. But as it stands right now, I don't think we're going to see a ton of rain. And on top of that, snow levels are expected to remain high. Now, this is not so great when we're talking about the Mount Shasta Ski Park, because as you know, the base of the ski park is at 5,500 feet. We've got to get that snow level down to 4,000 feet, 4,500 feet, before we can start feeling confident that they'll start to see some snow up there. Otherwise, it's a rain-snow mix, and that's what it's looking like this week, and quite possibly even into next week as well. Now, with the approaching storm system for tomorrow, with the rain we've been talking about, it's also going to bring with it some gusty winds. Now, we'll get into that here in a second. Let's get you through tonight and into tomorrow. I don't anticipate any thunderstorms, but there could be an isolated thunderstorm as we take you into tomorrow morning for the coast. Otherwise, just looking at the rain, could get heavy at times for some of us in the morning, by the way. And then for Trinity County, I'm expecting some of those showers to move in by tomorrow morning as well, and then throughout the day. Now for the valley, we're going to start off those overcast skies. Through the morning, the chances for rain will increase for the valley and then progress eastward. And I'm expecting that sometime in the afternoon, the eastern mountains will eventually start to see some of that rainfall. All right, so let's talk about those winds. And there you can see the wind advisory for basically Del Norte and Humboldt counties, southward into Mendocino County. And then there you can see for central and northeastern Siskiyou County, not to mention Modoc County, there's a high wind warning. Now the timing is a little different for a lot of these areas, but for the most part, this wind event is mainly going to be Wednesday morning through Wednesday night. By Thursday, most of the winds should be done. All right, so let's take a look at the wind speeds. Already the winds are picking up here for tonight and into tomorrow morning, especially for the Shasta Valley in central Siskiyou County. But look at tomorrow morning. Now we're seeing those winds along the coast, 25 to even over 30 miles per hour. And of course in the Shasta Valley. Now keep in mind, you see these numbers for Mount Shasta City at 18 miles per hour, but you don't have to go too far, especially over some of those exposed mountain ridges. You've got those gusts easily over 50, even 60 miles per hour. Now I think the winds will be strongest tomorrow, especially over the higher mountain ridges. There's Lassen Park. You see Mount Lassen or Lassen Peak? There you see it right there. I mean, you're talking about some very gusty winds. Some of the higher mountains in Siskiyou and Trinity County, not to mention Del Norte and Humboldt counties as well. That's where we're going to see the strongest winds. Now we'll take you into the noon hour on Wednesday. Now we're seeing the exposed ridges to the east, seeing some gusty winds, but nothing terrible, right? You're seeing greens and yellows. That's upwards of around 30 miles per hour, right? But still very gusty winds for Shasta Valley. But notice that we're not seeing a lot of the deep reds that we're seeing here for Wednesday morning. So as we go into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, now the winds are really starting to die down. And by Thursday, the winds are really no longer a factor. Now, what about the valley? Well, the valley will be a little breezy, especially on the east side of the valley here for tomorrow. But it's not going to be a very windy day for most of the valley. Now, this is the main storm system I've got my eyes on. Now, it looks like right now that it's moving in our direction, but if you kind of just notice, look closely, what we're seeing with this low pressure system is the energy is kind of shifting northward. So we got some nice cold air wrapping around this area of low pressure. This right here is what's going to be moving through on Wednesday, giving us that rain. But again, keep in mind, it's tapping into some subtropical moisture, so it's a warmer storm system, and as a result, higher snow levels. Okay, so here we are going into tonight and tomorrow morning. Now there's that cold front pushing through, heavy rainfall. That's why you saw those lightning strikes in the morning hours for parts of the coast. We could be looking at the potential for a few lightning strikes periods of moderate to very heavy rainfall associated with this band of rain pushing through. Now, as we typically see, as it pushes eastward, you see how it breaks apart. It's not as organized, but through the morning hours, Trinity County, the Valley, and eventually by noon, I think everyone will at this point be looking at rain. So sometime in the early to mid-morning hours, we're seeing the rain hitting the Valley and then eventually into the eastern mountains by Wednesday afternoon. So you'll notice now we're seeing most of the activity east of the Valley for Wednesday afternoon. West of the Valley, things are quieting down. Now with a little bit of activity here, as you can see to the north and west. We're also seeing snow here. Now that looks promising, doesn't it? But keep in mind that the highest elevations in our area are in this general area right here. Southern Cascades, Northern Sierra is where we have the highest of elevations, so it looks very promising. So once again, this is where we're seeing some of the heaviest amounts of snow above 6,000 feet on Wednesday. Now we take into Thursday morning, we're getting a bit of a break. Now I've kept most of us with just mostly cloudy skies on Thursday, but just bear in mind that there may be a passing sprinkle or a light shower throughout the day on Thursday, but I'm not expecting anything all that organized or heavy to move through. Now, rainfall estimates. This is where I'm not completely sold on the idea of through Thursday night over an inch of rainfall in Redding. I think we could see anywhere between a half of an inch to maybe upwards of an inch of rainfall, but I think that might be overdoing it for Redding, quite honestly. Now, you can see to the north and east, as we typically see, we're just not seeing as much rainfall there. And there for the coast, too. I'm pretty convinced that these are some pretty accurate numbers here. But you can see kind of a little bullseye here north of the Valley, little bullseye here east of Chico. Not out of the question for some select areas to maybe get caught up in some heavier rainfall. But overall, I'm not expecting a lot of us to see upwards of an inch of rain. Forecast snow. I mean, this is, again, we talk about how we've got high snow levels with this system here. Let's take you through time. Wednesday, and then, of course, going into your Thursday night, look where most of the snow is. There's the mountain of Mount Shasta. There's some of the higher elevations in Siskiyou and Trinity County, right? You're seeing over a foot of snow there, and not to mention Lassen Peak. Again, the pink indicating about 12 inches of snow, but even not that impressive as you head to the higher elevations southward. So again, high snow levels, but as you go into some of the highest of elevations, you're talking about a good amount of snow. All right, let's take you into Friday now. Now, things just kind of go off and on with chances for rain. So through the day on Friday, chances for showers increase. Friday night into Saturday is the heaviest rainfall, but by Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, it's beginning to break apart. You do see some snow in the mountains there. It may be a little lower this weekend, but probably above 5,000 feet is what we're looking at instead of, say, 6,000 feet. Then kind of just keeping it a little unsettled here as we go into Sunday and even into Monday. But are we going to see a ton of rain? No. Of course, what we're looking at now is New Year's Day. We're seeing some snow in the mountains, but unfortunately, it's not going to be a lot. Then you can see Tuesday and into Wednesday, we got some more rain kind of pushing on through. And it looks like at this point, Wednesday of next week, snow levels could be dropping a little bit lower. And it may even be more promising for parts of the ski park, Mount Shasta Ski Park, to maybe see some accumulating snow at this point. But that's a week from tomorrow that we're looking at, by the way. And then we get to the end of next week, and we can see a weak atmospheric river right here, mainly aimed at the Pacific Northwest, but we can certainly get caught up in some of that rain toward the end of next week as well. So what's the main takeaway from what we're dealing with from now all the way through the end of next week? We do have a series of storms, which was predicted 3 weeks ago, but the overall intensity of these storms at this point doesn't look all that promising as far as us really getting a bunch of rainfall out of it or snow for that matter. But it certainly is something that bears watching, and hopefully things can kind of start to turn around. So we look at the forecast rain totals. This is looking at the long range, and I think it's overdoing it again. As we take you through the end of the weekend, this upcoming weekend, there's next Sunday by 5 p.m. Again, I think it's overdoing it at 3.2 inches of rain. I think we could see about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain total once all is said and done from Wednesday through Sunday. So again, not a ton of rain. I mean, when you look at that time frame here, we'd like to certainly see more than that. And I think we could be looking at about the same here for the coast. And once again, look where we're seeing the least amount of rain, off into Modoc County, Lassen, and eastern Plumas County as well. Looking at your precipitation outlook for January 1st through January 5th, we're still kind of within, at least for Northern California, in the normal to just slightly above normal rainfall. And that's just a chance of seeing that. Doesn't mean we will see that. So if we see any rainfall, it'll be around normal for this time of the year, but that's going to keep us below normal as we look at the entire season since October 1st of this year. Now there you can see the temperature outlook. This is why we're talking about these high snow levels, right? Because we're expecting to see above normal temperatures, and a lot of the moisture that we're getting is coming in from the subtropics. So when you have subtropical moisture moving in, typically we see higher snow levels. However, sometimes we can get some cold air trapped in there and get some cold air embedded in there, and we start to see the low snow levels associated with that subtropical moisture. But again, you have to set the stage just right for us to see that. But typically with the subtropical moisture, we see the higher snow levels. Look at these wave heights as we take you into your Wednesday afternoon. 20 to even 23 feet as you head out to sea. And look at this, as we even get close to the coast here, we're seeing some pretty high wave heights. And look at this. You saw it peak around Wednesday night into Thursday morning, close to 30-foot wave heights. Now the good news is we can start to see these wave heights are beginning to drop even for the coast, but you know, over the next, as we go into Wednesday and into Thursday, we're seeing some pretty high wave heights. In fact, there is a high surf warning for the entire coast for 3 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Thursday. Just not a good idea to be out on the beach here, especially Wednesday and Thursday. All right, so here's your marine forecast for your Wednesday. South winds at 20 to 30 knots, waves from the south at 14 feet at about 10 seconds. There's your high tide, your low tide, and your sunrise and sunset, and your gale warning as we go through basically tonight and into tomorrow. Overnight tonight, I do expect to see some fairly cool temperatures, upper 30s to low 40s in the valley. A lot of that will depend on just how much clearing we do see, but quite honestly, some of these temperatures may be just a tad on the cool side. We may want to bump those up to maybe some low 40s, because especially if we see those overcast skies, it'll be hard for us to really drop those temperatures down a whole lot. Now, taking you into your Wednesday, I've got those temperatures dropping a bit because we do have more cloud cover and temperatures mainly in the mid-50s for the valley. Now, not much cooler in the eastern mountains, about 10 degrees cooler in most cases. We're talking 40s and some 50s. You can see Siskiyou County, mainly in the low to mid-40s, mid-40s for Trinity County, and low 50s for the inland areas, and along the coast, upper 50s to around 60 degrees. So let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. And what we can see here is that, yes, off and on chances for rain. Now, is it going to be completely dry on Thursday? Probably not. You may see a stray sprinkle or light shower, but the areas where you see snow levels and rain coming from the clouds is where we have the best chance for measurable rainfall. Now, as I mentioned, I'm seeing some discrepancy in the long-range forecast models for both Monday and Tuesday as far as any rain is concerned, but I do think that as we go into parts of next week, we're still looking at the potential for some rainfall. So for now, I am keeping New Year's Day dry. However, it's looking like Sunday night into Monday morning, yeah, maybe a little bit of rain, but through most of the day on Monday for the valley, it does look to remain dry. And looking at your 7-day outlook for the North Coast, pretty much the same situation here. Best chances for rain do look to be on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. As I mentioned, as we do go into next week, there is a chance for showers, but I do think as we get into the middle to latter part of next week, we've got a better chance for some of that measurable rainfall.